Hello everyone, I'm Rosabel Martínez Roig. I'm an associate professor at the University of Alicante, and in this module I'm going to present you a topic about developing digital teachers' competencies for inclusive teaching in digital environments. Let's go. First of all, we need to be conscious of the huge transformation we've been living through the past years. More specifically, we can talk that we used to be working on traditional classrooms in which talking methods were completely dominating with quite limited technology integrations. Then slowly we became bit more digital, and we started to live in a digital integration in which introduction of computers and internet-based resources in schools were more casual and more usual for us. Then nowadays, or after the pandemic into 2020, we started to live in an era of blended learning, which is a combination of traditional and digital methods for enhanced learning experiences. The best example is this project, these courses, in which we have an important digital part that couldn't be possible without the integration of technology. So it's like a good evolution for us. And then finally, we are approaching to an experience in which in which the classrooms are completely digital. We are living the emergence of virtual classrooms and online learning platforms as the one we are using, and even some more um, complex and more and bigger for the students. Okay, so we were talking that we are living in a quite digital era with too many transformation at the one point. But which are the main or the core digital competencies for teachers in this era? So the first one would be to have technical skills, specifically proficiency in using various digital tools and platforms. Then it's also really important the capacity of creating digital content. We should be able to develop and curate engaging digital learning materials. Then, of course, we will be talking about this later. One of the main aspects is to have a good pedagogical digital competencies that would involve integrating technology to enhance learning outcomes by following a pedagogical experience and pedagogical view at every time. And finally, it's really important that we can forget the digital safety and ethics, in which we try to ensure online safety and promoting responsible digital citizenship. So this would be there are we could choose many more, but we've chosen these ones because we think that illustrates very well the core digital competencies we need to have to be a good teachers nowadays. Okay, so we've talked about this evolution, we've talked about the main competencies, but at the same time we can't be blind and we need to face many challenges. We would start talking about the rapid and quite fast technological changes. Of course, keeping up with these constantly evolving digital tools is quite complicated for all the teachers, for everyone, even for young teachers. So it's quite complicated. It's a big challenge we need to face. At the same time, we need to be aware of the digital divide because we would be facing students that live in an equal situation, so they may have difficulties to access technology and internet connectivity. Of course, another challenge is the resistance to change, because overcoming reluctance to adopt new teaching methodologies could be quite complicated for some teachers because of um, old reasons or simply because aseptic reasons. At the same time, cybersecurity it's a big concern for the population, for the students, for their families. So we need to ensure that data privacy and protection is always on point when we create and when we use these digital learning environments. Okay, so usually we tend to talk about inclusive education, inclusive learning methods, but now we are going to go to talk about inclusive teaching in digital environments, specifically in a digital environment, in a digital experience. So first of all, we need to ensure that all students have equal access and equitable access to digital learning resources, because some of them could be victim of this digital divide we were explaining just a few moments. Um, then, of course, we might be facing diverse learning needs, adapting digital content for students with different abilities and backgrounds. It's one of the main aspects of this inclusive digital education. And then, of course, be aware of cultural sensitivity, creating inclusive digital spaces that respect and celebrate diversity. Diversity for many reasons, ethics, economical outcomes, disability, gender diversity, and everything. Before we were talking about competencies for digital teachers, now we need to focus a bit more on competencies for inclusive digital teaching. So the first one is the cultural competencies. What can we say about this? So it's really important to understand and respect the diverse cultural backgrounds of our students in digital interactions, because, for instance, a good example is that sense of humor it's not the same in all parts of the world. So, for instance, a meme or a funny video that could be like really entertaining for us in the Western part of the world, probably it's not as funny as in the eastern part of the world, for instance. So just with some contents, with some social media even. So we need to be aware of these differences and be like culturally respectful. Then empathy and equity, it's really, really important. We have to ensure as teachers that we are not leaving any student behind. Just if we were in a traditional classroom, and we help and assist every student. So in learning environments, in digital learning environment, it's exactly the same. We are not teaching like Instagram users or Twitter users. We are teachers. We are teaching real and actual students. So we need to consider them as persons and not as users. So the next one is to have adaptive teaching methods that we should be able to use different instructions and assistive technology in an effective way. We need to put into practice this pedagogical knowledge we have, or we should have at least. And finally, it's really important everything related to digital accessibility skills, because creating an adaptive digital content for all type of learners, it's actually quite easy to create an accessible presentation, and it's actually quite easy to create an accessible Word document. So at least know the main core competencies of this part of the education of digital accessibility, and put into practice them in our digital environment lessons. Then, so if we are responsible of these things, if we have to be inclusive, we of course need to develop professionally. So these are some strategies we've chosen to talk about. For instance, the first one, work in structured courses and workshops. Teachers, of course, can benefit from structured courses, courses and workshops focused on digital teaching competencies. So this networking, this collaborative working, it's really, really important for us as teachers and to keep updated. Then collaborative learning is specifically the next characteristic we have here. Collaborative learning through mentoring and communities of practice promotes professional growth in a really, really, really good way. So we might be facing positive changes in our professional development if we use these collaborative learning methods, or if we take part into communities of practice. Sorry. Then we should be able to, or at least we should use frameworks. Utilizing frameworks helps teachers evaluate and improve their digital teaching skills, because these frameworks are specifically that frameworks, models in which we can reflect ourselves to check if we are working well with these digital learning environments, or if we need to update any part of or any factor of our professional development or our professional practice. Then classroom implementation, implementing newly learned strategies in real classroom setting enhanced practical skills. So of course, putting into practices everything we know about digitalization and digital inclusive education. We need to put into practice this, because otherwise we wouldn't be doing anything. So it's really important to put into practice all these contents and all these transformation in digital schools, in digital classroom, and in digital environments. Then we have here a chart in which we are presenting tools and frameworks for digital competencies. Just some examples. If you are interested into that, you can take note of this. In the first, on the left, we have the DIRCOMP Edu, which is, in my opinion, the most important framework we have in Europe regarding digital competencies. In this framework, we will be talking specifically about educator digital competencies, but at the same time, we can find a DIGCOMP framework for the plain citizen, and we also can find a tiny part of this framework devoted to the competencies of students. So it's really important to be aware of this and even use it daily, or at least once a month, with following the professional development strategies we were talking just before. Which is the key benefit of this framework is the comprehensive self-assessment. So it's really, really interesting. It's really intuitive. It's written in plain languages, so everybody can understand it. And we have several levels, just if we were like doing an English or a language exam, starting from A2 till C2, the most professional level. So it's really, really interesting. Please check this after the presentation. Then we have the UNESCO ICT CFT. It's the same, but it's not so popular. It focuses on ICT skills in education. The key benefit is that you might be receiving a global perspective once you take it. And finally, we have the model or the framework TPACK, TPACK, sorry, TPAC or TPAC. This framework talks about, we will be explaining this later, about technology, pedagogical, and content knowledge, and it has a holistic approach for our professional practice. So then we are going to study this a bit more. Okay, here we have the TPAC model. So first of all, we need to know that TPAC stands for technological, the T, pedagogical, the P, content, the C, and knowledge, the K. So what is that? So it's a framework, a model, a theory that integrates technology, pedagogy, and content knowledge for effective teaching. The model emphasizes the importance of understanding how these three elements interact and influence each other in the learning process. It helps teachers to effectively design, implement, and evaluate technology-enhanced learning experience. So on the right side of the screen, you can see these illustrations of Power School. It's a very good one in which we can exactly see how this model works. So let's see, we have like three circles. The blue circle would be pedagogical knowledge, the yellow circle would be content knowledge, and the pink circle would be technological knowledge. So here we can see that we have like the three main areas of our professional practice: pedagogical part, content or technical part, and technological part, living in our society. So these three knowledge are constantly mixing and blending itself. So we have like this part, the green part would be pedagogical content knowledge, the dark blue part would be technological pedagogical knowledge, and the red part would be technological content knowledge. So which is the best part of these three? No one. The best part is this black dot in the middle, in the center of the circles, that is technological pedagogical content knowledge. That means that a good teacher, a good educator, needs to be needs to be good in technological knowledge, needs to be good in pedagogical knowledge or didactical knowledge, and needs to be good in content knowledge. So please, it's really interesting this. Take it and ask me if you have any questions, because this model is really, really interesting and illustrates very well the spirit of this presentation. Okay, so now let's dream a bit, which is the future of digital and inclusive teaching. So actually we used artificial intelligence to create these images, because like this we would like create exactly what I want to show you. The first one, which is actually not a future. I'm working on a project of immersive learning, virtual and augmented reality, creating inclusive, engaging experiences. So this is actually real now, or at least in a research stage. But it's really interesting. It's like having a completely immersive learning classroom. Then we have, of course, artificial intelligence enhanced education. Artificial intelligence providing personalized learning support. Actually, my PhD dissertation, which is already finished and presented, talks about this. It's the use of artificial intelligence in all these manners and ways, using social robots, using chat assistants. So this could help us to personalize a little bit more the education, the traditional education. And finally, global classrooms, borderless education, fostering cultural exchange and global competencies, like trying to delete these cultural barriers that we were talking just before. Okay, so now what do we need to do to be like real inclusive to close the presentation? So we need to keep on learning and practicing. We need to continue our professional development, developing our digital skills, even our technological skills, even our pedagogical skills that we were explaining before. Of course, having an inclusive mindset, prioritizing accessibility and diversity in your digital teaching practices is really, really important. Collaborating and sharing, this is really reachable for us, engaging with peers to exchange ideas and best practices, and reflecting and adapting our current methods to a digital inclusion ones. Regularly assess your digital competencies and adapt to new challenges, and having an open mind always, because we are working, at least in my opinion, in the best profession of the world. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. I'm here for any doubt or question. Thank you. Bye.